In 1997, a quiet man from Ohio did something that shocked his entire town. He adopted 9 children, from 9 different countries. No one understood why a single man, with no wife and an ordinary job, would take on such an enormous responsibility. Some whispered he had a hidden past, others believed he was chasing redemption. Each child carried their own heartbreak, their own scars, and their own secrets. What happened behind the closed doors of that modest farmhouse remained a mystery for decades. Until now. Today, we're opening a story that will pull at your heart, challenge your mind, and leave you questioning what family really means. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. John Whitmore lived a life so ordinary, most barely noticed him. In the sleepy town of Marietta, Ohio, he worked as a postal clerk, greeting the same faces each morning with a quiet nod and a polite smile. His days were predictable: early coffee at Millie's Diner, long walks along the Muskingum River, evenings spent tinkering with old radios in his garage. His modest house sat on the edge of town, wrapped in peeling white paint and wild rose bushes. Locals called him a good soul, though few could say they really knew him. He never married, never spoke of dreams, and never seemed in a hurry. But sometimes, late at night, neighbors swore they saw him staring out the window, lost in thought, as if waiting for something, or someone. It was a cold afternoon in March 1997 when John did something no one saw coming. He walked into the county courthouse, dressed in his Sunday best, and requested the paperwork to adopt a child. Alone. No fiancé. No family support. Just him. The clerk, bewildered, hesitated before handing over the forms. John's hands trembled slightly as he signed, but his eyes burned with a fierce determination no one had ever seen before. Over the following weeks, neighbors noticed unfamiliar cars stopping by his house, letters from foreign addresses piling up in his mailbox. Whispers grew: something was shifting in the quiet life of John Whitmore. But no one could have guessed how deep, or how strange, this change would soon become. Within months, the whispers turned into full-blown rumors. One by one, John's house began to fill with children, but not from around town. They came from distant lands: a quiet boy from Ethiopia, a shy girl from Vietnam, twins from Ukraine. Each arrival brought new faces, new languages, and new shadows. Neighbors watched with growing unease as John expanded the old farmhouse, hammering through the nights, building more rooms without hiring a single worker. Strange lights flickered through the windows at odd hours. Packages arrived almost daily: schoolbooks in unfamiliar scripts, small handwoven blankets, peculiar toys. Some nights, the sound of soft weeping floated across the fields. John rarely spoke now, moving like a man carrying a weight only he understood. The town began to wonder, what had he truly invited into his home? One evening in late 1998, John received a letter unlike any before: no return address, just a wax seal pressed into thick, yellowed paper. Inside was a list of 9 names, none of which matched the children's adoption papers. His hands trembled as he read, the names foreign, almost ancient, some impossible to pronounce. That night, he quietly checked each child's birth certificate and found tiny inconsistencies: mismatched dates, blurred signatures, missing stamps. Panic crept in. Had he been lied to? Had these children been sent to him for a purpose he couldn't yet understand? With growing dread, John reached out to a woman named Sarah Lindstrom, a retired social worker rumored to know the dark side of international adoptions. When she arrived at his door, clutching a battered leather file, John knew nothing would ever be the same again. Sarah's voice was low, almost a whisper, as she laid out the truth. Many of the so-called agencies John had worked with weren't agencies at all. They were part of a hidden network, moving children across borders without real documentation. Some were war orphans, but others had simply vanished from villages, taken in the chaos of distant conflicts. The children in John's care carried more than loss: they carried secrets that could never be spoken aloud. Some had witnessed horrors beyond imagination. Some were never meant to be found. As Sarah flipped through the old files, John felt the walls of his safe little world closing in. He wasn't just a rescuer. He was now their shield, against something far larger, far darker, than he had ever prepared for. And it was already too late to turn back. The first real threat came on a rainy night in November 1999. A black sedan parked across John's property, its engine idling for hours without lights. At first, John tried to ignore it, convincing himself it was just coincidence. But when the phone calls began, heavy breathing, clicks, and silence, he knew it wasn't random. Someone was watching. Someone wanted the children back. Sarah warned him, they'll do anything to erase the mistakes. John faced a terrible choice: go to the authorities and risk losing the children to a broken system, or disappear with them into the unknown. As the storm raged outside, he gathered the children in the living room, their small faces filled with trust and fear. The walls of the old farmhouse, once a safe haven, now felt like a trap. And outside, the dark was closing in. It happened faster than John could react. One night, as he prepared to move the children to a safer place, the farmhouse was broken into. Shadows burst through the windows, rough hands grabbing, dragging. John fought back with everything he had, but he was just one man against many. In the chaos, little Mila from Cambodia was taken. Her scream cut through the night like a blade, then was swallowed by silence. John collapsed on the porch, broken, bleeding, the other children huddled around him, shaking. For hours, he lay there, drowning in failure, unable to move. It seemed like all hope was lost, that the forces against them were too strong, too cruel. But then, as dawn touched the horizon, John found something clenched in his hand, a necklace Mila always wore, now holding a small, hidden key. A clue. A chance. It wasn't over yet. John refused to surrender. Guided by the tiny key Mila had left behind, he uncovered a hidden compartment beneath the old floorboards, a file Sarah had secretly placed there, with evidence tracing the entire trafficking network back to powerful figures, even in their own town. Armed with proof, John contacted a federal agent Sarah once trusted. For days, it was a dangerous game of waiting, hiding, surviving. But when the raid finally came, it was swift and brutal. The black sedan, the kidnappers, the corrupt officials were all exposed. Mila was found in an abandoned farmhouse 20 miles away, cold but alive. When John held her in his arms again, the weight of fear lifted for the first time in years. He had fought the darkness, and won. For the first time, the children were truly free. And John. He was no longer just their guardian. He was their father. Years later, the Whitmore house still stands, but now it sings with laughter, music, and stories told in 9 different languages. John, once a lonely figure, has silver in his hair and a spark in his eyes that never existed before. Each child grew into their own path, some became doctors, teachers, artists, yet all carried the same lesson: they were chosen, they were saved, they were loved. John's quiet fight changed more than just 9 lives, it sent ripples across the world, proving that one heart, determined enough, can battle even the darkest forces. And what about you? If faced with the impossible, would you stand and fight, or turn away? Think about it. Hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what does family mean to you?